In today's video, we unbox, install, and review Weizer Technik 3-in-1 turn signals for the rear and 2-in-1 turn signals for the front of my BMW R1250GSA to enhance visibility and safety.
Let's open up the box from Weizer Technik and see what's inside. So, within, I've got the rear lights packaged like this, running brake turn signal, and then I'm going to guess that these are the fronts. So let's open up one of the rears first. Slides open. Looks like wiring. Looks pretty decent. A sticker. And then here you've got the lights, which go inside the factory housings. I got all this apart and then I realized that I was misunderstanding some of what I was looking at. So I had ordered the long front housings, and so that is what these are. These are the rear housings, which go on the back. The fronts are basically the same size as the stock ones, just the different design. So then this box that I opened up previously, so this is the driving light and turn signal box. These are the ones that go on the front. These are the parts that go inside the housing. And then this one here is the running brake turn signal. This is the one that goes on the back. So, same thing. You've got wiring. You have some zip ties. More wiring. Yet more wiring, and still a sticker. All right, let's get to installing. So the first thing that you have to do for installation is to assemble the lights into the housings. So the housing comes apart with just a single Phillips screw right here. If you get them mixed up for which one is left or right, note that there's a drain hole and that's supposed to be on the bottom. So in this case, you can tell that this is the one that goes on the right side so that the drain hole is down. The internals are not sided left to right, but the housings are. So we'll take this off. And so once this is off, you have to run the wires through this hole here, and then those will attach to the back of the light itself. So you've got 3 wires. 2 go to the normal BMW connector, and you can see that the connectors are a little bit spaced, so that makes them easy to fit through. Then you've got the 3rd wire, and in the front, this 3rd wire is what ends up getting used for the running lights. So I could try running the connector through, but I already assembled the other side, and what I found worked better was to actually have this wire go through the opposite direction, since then you just have the wire, no connector. For the light itself, you've got 3 prongs. You got the 12-volt positive, which is for the running lights, and then you got positive and negative for the turn signals. And so then, per the wiring, double check here, because you never want to get this backwards. Blue for positive, brown for negative. I noticed that this that the positive one was a little bit loose, seemed a little loose when I put it on, but it tightened up fine. So, and once you have this, the light sits kind of flush with the end, with the housing here. The hole for the screw goes through the housing, goes through the lens, through the light into the housing. And I found that this was a little bit hard to get aligned because the light portion, the circuit board for the light wanted to pop out, but once you got it in, it was fine. There you have it. Now let's assemble the rear lights. When you get to the rear housings, it's pretty much the same as the front. The difference is you have a 4th wire if you're going to do the 3-in-1, because now you've got turn signal, brake, and running light. In this case, the brake is handled by this gray wire that goes through, and then the running is handled by the same black wire that's added. The other thing is that on the back, you've got this little you have this little jumper, and depending on the position it is in, you have two options. One is that either the running light will be on while the turn signal is flashing, and the way that that's supposed to go is back and forth between orange and black, or orange and red. And then the other one is having the running light off when the turn signal is flashing, so you'll just have the flashing orange. I am sticking with the default, which is the one that has it flashing back and forth between orange and red. I think that that probably helps with visibility better. So we'll connect these wires, put this housing in, and then comes on to the next part of installation and wiring. And voila, all done. Now let's put them on the bike. So I'm in the back here to start the rear lights first. You have to remove the rear seat, and then you also have to remove this little housing that has both the turn signals and your license plate on it. This is held in by two bolts, one here, and then the stock turn signals are held in by one bolt on either side. Up here is where you can find the connectors for the lights, so you'll have to undo these connectors and then redo them with the new ones. If you read the instructions better than I did, then you will note that I forgot to put in these little clips. These are optional, but they go inside the housings like this, and what they do is then they help hold the light in place. I've gone through and I've done this on the other three lights. This is the fourth one, and it has definitely made it easier for everything to go together. So read the instructions, put these in. All right, I've got the wires run. When you're running them up, make sure to note that the housing has these little clips that you can put them in to help keep them lined up. And then once you get underneath the seat, the turn signal connectors matter, but keep in mind that the black wires will all combine, and then these gray wires will combine when it gets towards the front and we do the rest of the wiring. So I'm going to bolt the back in and then head up towards the front to do those lights. Well, the fronts are being a real pain, and this is not Weizer's fault. This is completely BMW's fault. Just has to do with how they designed everything. So you can see here on the right side, the connector for the turn signal is here. And to get at this, you have to remove the plastic that's over here, which means disconnecting this plastic, unbolting some stuff in the front, having to get this upper crash bar loose. And then once you get that off, you also have to then snip these two zip ties that hold the wiring harness together. So this is really being kind of a pain and a lot of extra effort to put these in. So again, not Weizer's fault. This is a BMW issue, but it is a consideration because you're going to be the one to deal with it. So time to keep moving. All right, so just a little progress report as I'm getting along doing the wiring. The gray and black wires from the rear lights I ran underneath here. The black wires from the front lights I combined together. Weizer includes these little twist connectors to get to combine wires. They give you this third wire that then runs down. There's plenty of extra length and I may cut it, but for now I've got all the black wires combined in here, and then I have to combine these gray wires as well. This goes to what they call a relay, solid state relay of some sort, looks like, that you then hook up to the positive and negative on the battery. And so then the next thing I have to do is find sources to plug in these trigger wires for power just any time the bike is turned on, and then the brake when the brake is hit. So I'm going to do that, then run these two and clean everything up and test it, see if it works. I've been living with the Weizer lights on my 1250 GSA now for a couple of weeks, and so I've had some time to evaluate them and give my thoughts. I've also gone on a couple of rides with my wife in that time period where she was following me, and she was able to give me her thoughts about the Weizer lights as well. My overall opinion of the Weizer lights is positive, and if you're looking for extra brightness, there's no doubt that these things are a slam dunk, especially the rear ones. The rear lights are much brighter, both for running lights as well as for brake lights and for turn signals. They just help your visibility all around. My wife was saying that following me, she found the back end of the bike to be much more lit up, more easily visible, and that turns into extra safety because other cars will be able to see you and see what you're doing better. Frankly, the stock light that BMW has for a stop lamp and running lamp is really not very bright, and I think that's an area that they could definitely have improved. It meets the legal requirements, but when you consider the fact that cars tend to view motorcyclists as pretty much invisible, anything you can do that helps make you more visible and makes what you're doing more known is going to help your safety. The fronts, I am a little bit more lukewarm about. The driving light function of them will probably help your visibility, and the turn signals are brighter. One issue that I have with how they're designed, though, is that the lenses on the top here will have some light that reflects and that you will see riding while you're sitting. During the daytime, it's not such a big deal, but at night that can be something of a distraction. When it comes to the installation and the design of the product, it seems straightforward, but I also have a couple of notes. I don't particularly like the design of the lights being non-sealed and then having drain holes at the bottom, especially on an off-road motorcycle. I wasn't particularly thrilled with the fact that I had to assemble the lights when they arrived. This isn't necessarily a big deal, it's easy to do, but it also feels that when you're paying over $400 for a set of lights, a very premium product, that it doesn't seem like you should have to then assemble the lights before installing them onto your motorcycle. There wasn't anything difficult about this again, but it seemed like a little area that was a surprise to me. The installation itself was really not too bad, and any of the difficulties associated with that were on BMW's side, not on Weizer's side. Even though the lights only have a single bolt holding them in at each corner, getting to the connections can be a little bit difficult, and you do have to do some splicing in. While it would be nice to have a connector that would just go in line with the wiring harness so that you didn't have to splice into wires, the little splice connectors that Weizer provided seemed to be both of high quality and they worked really well. So I can't complain at all about that. Overall, I think I'd rate these lights a 7 out of 10. The quality is certainly good. The instructions are good. Weizer has a bunch of good videos that show the individual bike installs, and they're definitely bright and help your visibility. The complaints I have are really quite minor and mostly come down to design preference differences, although I do think that being able to see this white light while you're riding is an oversight that is a bit of an issue. But I would definitely recommend them if you're looking for more light and more visibility from your motorcycle. Hope you found this useful. Please leave any questions down below in the comments, and thanks for watching.